What a night of Premier League action, following on from Brentford's 3-1 win over Liverpool to begin the match week. No goals, but plenty of talking points between Arsenal and Newcastle. A very heavy defeat for Everton, for Frank Lampard. That is 7 defeats in 10 Premier League matches now, and just 1 win in that period, and a very comfortable return to winning ways for Roberto De Zerbi's Brighton. Fulham have already won 8 Premier League games this season. They've just won 3 in a row as well, with a solitary goal at Leicester from Alexander Mitrovic. And we just showed you Manchester United's 3 goals and 3 points against Bournemouth. 4 crucial games still to come on Wednesday. Massive game at the bottom between Southampton and Forest. West Ham are in trouble as well. They're at Leeds. Villa, Wolves and Spurs after their defeat to Villa. And all Antonio Conte's comments afterwards are at Crystal Palace. And of course, put that in your diary for Thursday as well. The champions Manchester City at Stamford Bridge against Chelsea. So, Bournemouth and Everton not able to add to their points tally at the bottom. West Ham have the opportunity tomorrow to go above them both. And of course, Nottingham Forest have the opportunity to go out of the drop zone on Wednesday. And here's the situation at the top. Arsenal 8 clear of Manchester City, who have a game in hand. Newcastle nudge up to 35 points, but so too now the Manchester United with their 11th win of the season. They're level on points with Eddie Howe's side. They also have a game in hand, and suddenly, having played the same number of games, they are 5 clear of Spurs in 5th and 7 clear of Liverpool in 6th.
Dan, well, Arsenal have won every game at home so far this season. You've got such a wretched record here. What sort of result was that?
Yeah, huge. To be fair, I thought Arsenal were really good. They were a tough team to figure out. The players move about a lot in midfield, so I think we struggled with the press. They started really well. Thought we weathered the storm for a bit, but I think it just shows how resilient we've been, probably for the past year. And when we're not playing at our best, we're hard to beat.
How heavy was that storm, particularly in the first part of the game, and particularly on your side of the pitch?
Saka's a great player. He can go both ways. I think the wingers helped us a lot. Doubled up on him. I thought we sort of got the hang of him as the game went on. But yeah, I think we've got a good mix of young lads and experience in the team, and I think we know that once we weather the storm and we'd settled, I thought we grew into the game, and we were happy with the point.
Was it key tonight as well to be tactically spot on in terms of the distances between full-backs and centre-backs, plus getting help from midfield, doubling up, sometimes trebling up on their forward players in the wide areas?
Yeah, I think we do a lot of work on sort of converging on the ball. When the ball goes to the wingers, we try and get 3 players on them. And I think the way that they bring sort of Zinchenko into the midfield means they normally play sort of 5 forwards against our 4 back lads. So it's tough, mentally tough. But yeah, I'm happy with the way we performed tonight.
Did you know that's 6 clean sheets in a row, which equals a club 40-year record? What does that tell us about what you're doing right now?
It just tells us that we're sort of believing in the philosophy, what the gaffer's brought in. We're a really sort of tight-knit group of lads, love working for each other. And I think it was sort of really important that we got that clean sheet tonight against Arsenal.
Were you looking to frustrate them as well, take the heat out of the game at times?
I think you've got to. I think if you go toe-to-toe with sort of a lot of good teams, sort of City and Liverpool as well, I think a lot of people just expect you to just let them win. But there's a lot of way to win, a lot of ways to win a football game. And yeah, that's what we thought we managed the game well.
Heart in the mouth when they were appealing for a penalty at the end?
Nah, I knew we were fine. VAR's fine, isn't it? Yeah, no bother.
Well done tonight.
Thank you very much.
We'll come to that in a moment, but 6 consecutive clean sheets, and that final clean sheet was under threat right at the end. You were out of your seat as Nick Pope spread himself brilliantly.
Yeah, what a signing he's been for Newcastle. The number of times he's done this, when teams have managed to get through that defence, then you need your keeper. You need to rely on your keeper at times, and that makes the difference between good and very good goalkeepers. That not had a lot to do during the game, but that is a magnificent save. Just keep it out. Do anything to keep the ball out, and that's exactly what he's done. Good from Arsenal. It's a good strike, that is, but he's done ever so well. Good strike from Nketiah, gets into that good position, decent touch, he puts it out there, then gets his shot away with the left foot, but that is fantastic.
Could Eddie Nketiah have done any more?
I don't think so. I think that what he's done there, you could see like the way the ball's come through, his touch was very good. He's a very clean contact on it, but like the goalkeepers now, especially look at someone like Nick Pope, to beat him there, you know what I mean, the way they use their feet now, that would have to have been he'd have to have got that ball higher or something. But I don't think either of them could have done any better. I thought it was a great save and it was a great effort from Eddie.
We thought at one stage set plays might decide it. Arsenal went very close with one as well.
Yeah, with Martinelli there, because again, you know, you look at Kieran Trippier and Dan Burton, they've done brilliantly. He just got away, and I'm thinking, oh God, there's no one on the back post neither. You know, you're thinking, like, you're looking at Tommy Asu, he's actually going the other way. Instead of maybe coming towards the goal, he'd get himself a free goal maybe, but you know, that's the way the game was going. It's going to be very close, and unfortunately for Martinelli, it didn't go the right side of the post.
Did you think at any stage Arsenal might have had a penalty, right?
Yeah, I did, yeah, with Gabriel.
You can't even say it without laughing, look.
I did, yeah, because because we need it. We wanted something. I'm thinking of Dan Burns all over him here. You look at Dan Burns. Look, he's grabbing. He starts and then he pushes him down. So I think that could have been one. Could have given that one. Look, there he goes. Look. He's impeded him. Look,
Steve. I think the laughter says it all.
I think
that's all we need to say on that. The laughter from Mr. Wright says it all.
I think there's another one. There was another one on Gabriel. There's another pull shirt as well on Gabriel. But you know what? I think that the way Newcastle defended, I think a draw in the end was about fair. I think there was appealing for an handball on this one as well. I think it would have been very harsh to give this handball because, you know, he's trying to block, his arm's gone behind, there's not much he can do there, so kind of clutching at straws a bit here, if I'm going to be totally honest. I am clutching.
That was one of the few decisions the referee did get right.
Yeah.
I thought the referee was very picky tonight. I thought
9 yellow cards, a joint record high for this season.
Game.
He made it very difficult for himself. At times, I thought the game looked too big for him. He made it difficult because early on in the game, he was adamant that he was going to show yellow cards, which then made it difficult because when another foul in, then he had to give another foul and a yellow card for that one. And I don't think he handled the game well at all.
And we saw both managers animated at each other at the end as well. It was almost spilling off the pitch.
Yeah, I think Mikel Arteta needs to have a word with himself, or his assistants need to have a word with him and calm him down. I think he's disrespectful to the opposition. He's making it very difficult for referees who have a hard enough job as it is anyway. I get he wants to be animated on the touchline. If his players were behaving like him, he wouldn't like it. That would cost him. So he, in my opinion, needs to calm down. I get the big stakes. I get the top of the league. I get it's an emotional game. But he's making it very, very difficult for referees, and he's been disrespectful to the opposition.
Yeah, he's very much in. He's very plugged into the game. He seems like that's the way he is. As that manager, you see some managers. You see Conte was like that. Sometimes you see Mourinho's like that. He seems to be one of those managers. Pep. He's very plugged into every single thing that's going on in the game. You can see it on the line. So, you know, I'm sure that people are saying it a lot now. You know what I mean? I'm sure it's something you'll look at, but at the same time, being my manager, I'm not going to find too much fault with it.
Can that transmit to the players sometimes, though, in a negative way?
Yeah, I mean, they know they're under pressure, but when you see your manager on the touchline behaving like that, I mean, he has to calm down. He's the one that has to make the tough decisions and stay calm, or try and stay calm in those difficult situations. At the minute, at times he's going crazy on the touchline. Can't be helpful, can it?
Newcastle, 13 unbeaten now, to get a point, the first team this season, to get something at the Emirates. Does that just add to the belief in this run?
Yeah, absolutely. I thought it was a really solid performance tonight, and Eddie will be delighted that his team have put that type of shift in. They were always going to be asked questions because of the ability that Arsenal have, particularly in midfield and forward positions. They didn't offer a lot themselves going forward, Newcastle, but I tell you what, in terms of defensively, if you want your team to go out and fight and scrap and give every single thing in the black and white shirt, then those players have done that for Eddie tonight. But he knows deep down Newcastle are not going to win the Premier League, but he also knows that he's got a team that have got huge spirit, and they will give him and the fans absolutely everything. And when you've got that, you've got a chance, and he'll be delighted with that performance tonight.
But Arsenal are 8 points clear at the top of the Premier League. The last time they had such a big league at any stage, the Invincibles.
Yeah, you know, I think they're 8 points clear, and it's on merit. They've beaten the teams they've had to beat, and you know, again, Newcastle came, and it was a tough game. Newcastle have been playing well this season, defended brilliantly. I think that what Arsenal lacked today maybe was something off the bench. You know, hopefully Emil Smith-Rowe will get himself fit. Maybe we'll see something may happen in January, because I think they're going to need something, because The way Newcastle came is kind of can give you a bit of a blueprint how you can play against Arsenal. You can defend very deep against them. It's very hard to break down, especially if they defend as well as they did. Newcastle just unfortunately couldn't break on Arsenal. They didn't have enough maybe support with Callum Wilson maybe in the first half to maybe go and cause Arsenal a problem going the other way. But I think it's something that Arsenal are going to have to look out for, because if I'm going to play against Arsenal at the moment, I'm probably going to set myself up like that and then hopefully get something on the break. So you do need something off the bench. When you're looking off the bench, our substitute with Tomiyasu came on, a defender. When we really were needing some, like a forward, we needed someone offensive that can contribute something creative towards the game to maybe open them up a bit.
Okay, so Newcastle were indeed the last team to stop Arsenal scoring back in May, and they've done it again at the Emirates. He had plenty to say about it when the game was on as well on the touchline, Mikel Arteta. Let's see what he's got to say after it.
Mikel, what's your overall thoughts on that?
Extremely proud of my players. The way we played, the way we dominated the game, the way we tried, the way we continued, the way we controlled the game. And we missed in the final third. That is part to find the final pass, because we had so many situations to finish those situations better. And then we had 2 scandalous penalties.
Which do you think was the stronger claim of the two? The Dan Burn pull?
No, it's not about the stronger. There are 2 penalties. That's very simple.
The referee offer any opinion to you as to why not afterwards?
I'm not talking. I'm talking about what I've seen now, and it's 2 scandalous penalties.
So what's your thought process on why VAR didn't give it then?
I don't know. I'm so proud of the work that we've done to see a team that plays the way we play today again.
Do you think it was a case, do you think you had enough chances to win the game and you didn't take those chances, or do you have to give Newcastle credit for the way they kept you at bay?
I think we generated a lot of situations, a lot of superiority in the game, but we lacked the fact that we needed an extra touch, an extra pass, an extra movement to get clearer chances. But we had, I think, enough chances to win the game.
Was it frustrating for you?
No, I'm so proud of this team.
Do you think as well, the way you're playing now, that you're going to get more teams come here on nights like tonight and set up in the way that Newcastle did? In a way, it's a compliment to you.
That Newcastle wanted to set up like this. That is not the way they play. They haven't played against any team like this. So it's great to our players.
What do you think of a point overall tonight?
Well, that you cannot win, you don't lose. We hit a clean sheet, we had a really good performance, and we go again.
Does it feel like 2 points dropped this?
No, I wanted to win the game, but we draw it, and we should have done certain things better, especially in the final third, and we should have 2 penalties to win the game, and then it was a different story.
Did you have enough on the bench to change the game at all?
Well, we had what we have. Obviously, we had some injuries as well, and attacking areas, we don't have that many options, but it's what it is. I'm so proud of them.
You're proud of them, but the window is open. Do you need more options, and quickly?
That's something that we always try to improve our team, and every window is really important because we still have a lot of things to do in this team.
Thanks, Mikel.
Thank you very much.
Well, that is still clearly an emotional Mikel Arteta. We didn't hang back there, Wrighty. 2 scandalous penalties.
Scandalous. I think there was one where I think that obviously where Arsenal are, how well they're playing, and you're starting to see what it really means. Still think it's pretty early because we're 17 games in. Normally it'd be 21 by now, so we'd be a lot further on in the league. But you can see maybe the pressure of where Arsenal are and how important it is to win a game. When you've seen our manager react like he's reacting there, because as much as I was joking earlier on about the Gabriel one, there's one that maybe he got a pull on. Where
would you describe them as scandalous penalties, though?
I don't know if I'd say it was scandalous, but I don't, it's not this one. This one's like bodies all together, and you've got to try and find your space in there. But he seems like he's on the way down in that one. But there's one. There's another one with this one. Look, it'd be a very tough one, because you look at Gabriel, at no stage in that particular incident does he look like he's in a position where he's going to challenge and he's going to try and get something. This one, if this is what he's talking about, I can't see where that's scandalous as well. As much as, I mean,
there's about 7 or 8 players who appeal very.
His arm, he's trying to turn away.
I think he's talking absolute nonsense. I really do. I mean, I would like to say it another way, but I can't. I think it's really dangerous language he's using there. 2 scandalous penalties. And he has to be really careful because he's got a really young team who have never been in this position before. It's difficult enough, and if your manager can't keep his head, then you have problems. And the referees will be looking at that, and whether you think it's right or wrong, they won't like that. They won't like that type of language that he's using. They won't like his attitude on the touchline towards the fourth official and towards the assistants and towards the referee. That, in the future, could work against him if that doesn't change.
Yeah,
Is that a concern for you?
Well, it could be. If we're talking about our manager getting himself in a situation where, I don't know, the referees are starting to look at the way he's playing, and you don't get certain things like he might have thought he should have got tonight. You don't want it to start to depend on how your manager's behaving for you to progress.
I also look at his language towards the opposition. As in Newcastle tonight, the way they set up, the way they went to the Emirates, and what does he want Newcastle to do? To go there and play lovely football and try and take Arsenal on at their own game when they've got the record they have? They're sitting at the top of the league. Get used to it. More teams are going to do that. More teams will look at what Newcastle tonight and try and do what they did. You can't always be brilliant in every single game. It's the same thing happened to Newcastle at the weekend with Leeds. You've got to accept, you've got to move on, you take the point. If you can't win the game, you don't get beaten. They haven't been beaten tonight. It's been a decent point, very good point for Newcastle. But Newcastle can't turn up there and say we're going to play open, great football and go head to head. Not many will.
No, I think they should have, Kevin. Something, it's a tight game. You know what I mean? And there's a lot on it. And, Newcastle, the way they play, having a great season, we're having a great season. It was a game that you could see there was a lot on it. It felt like there was a lot on it because Arsenal could have gone even further in front, 10 points clear. And obviously that might have been on their mind. But you look at the way Mikel acts on the line, is how he always acts on the line. You haven't
got a problem with that?
Well, to be honest, it's going to be very difficult for me to say something about my own manager because sometimes you see it and you think to yourself, yeah, maybe he does look like he's managing every aspect of the game, but that's just how he is. It's something that I'm quite used to seeing now. It didn't bother me. It doesn't bother me as much, but hopefully that won't work against him simply because the team are doing so well this year. They're playing so well. He's doing brilliantly. So you want to make sure that it's only stuff that's happening on the pitch, what goes wrong against us, that he can be worried about, like us not playing well or stuff. But we don't want to start getting into that scandalous penalty decisions and stuff, because I've seen scandalous penalty decisions, and I wouldn't say that those two were any of them. So, I just want to make sure that we're keeping the emotions intact here.
And just on your point with the players, it is the youngest starting 11 on average of any team this season that Mikel Arteta.
Yeah, and they've had an unbelievable few months. They're at the top of the league. They're there to be shot at. There's going to be a time, I'm sure, in the next few months where it doesn't work for them. Then the test will come. I've been there myself when it's an unusual position. When we were at Blackburn, we'd never been there. Like a lot of these young players have never been there. It might be a good thing, it might not. But it will be difficult at times to handle over the next few months.
And the next two games in itself, the North London derby and Manchester United.
Well, those are the games. The thing is, you have to say, and Newcastle today, Newcastle are up there as one of the form teams in the league.
And City home and away still to play.
Absolutely, City home and away to play as well. And what you got to do is you got to make sure that you got to have you have to be calm about it, because you want to go into these games. The main thing is you want to start like they started in both halves. They went for it. It didn't quite happen. Newcastle defended well, but you don't lose the game. That's the main thing, because then what you got to do is you got to make sure you beat the rest, and that's what it comes down to.
I know that he can't be a soft touch. I know that he's got to protect his football club and look after his team, and I get all that. But I also don't. I think you've got to be respectful to the opposition. No matter win, lose, or draw, you've got to sometimes say, you know what? Well done, Newcastle. You actually came with a game plan and it worked to perfection tonight. Rather than say, we had two scandalous penalties and Newcastle came to play the way they did and they didn't want to win the game. I don't think that's been respectful at all. I think it would have been better for him to say, yep, well done. You came for a point, you got what you wanted, you defended very well, and we move on, rather than him whinging about refereeing decisions and everything else.
Okay, well, Newcastle had lost their last 10 at the Emirates. Eddie Howe, in 6 visits as a manager, hadn't even picked up a single point, but he has tonight, and here are his post-match thoughts.
See, I'm old school, so I loved it. There'll be people that say, "Oh, it's tactics and all this sort of stuff, physical." But I thought your team was terrific today.
I thought we were in a different way to maybe the purists, as you say. We were resilient. We were dogged. We were brilliantly defending in all areas of the pitch collectively. We managed the game very well. So I think it was a lot to like from our perspective, from a defensive viewpoint. Maybe not so much with the ball, but they're a top team.
You can't let them play, Eddie, can you? I mean, they're so dangerous in the wide positions. You double up so well, they're negated it.
Yeah, I think, as I say, the teamwork aspect all over the pitch was important. They are very good in wide areas. They're very good tactically. They're very good technically. So you have to find solutions to those problems, and they certainly posed us a load during the game. And credit to the players for how we managed all aspects of the game. The start was tough. I thought we grew into the game, and the middle bit was okay, and then the end was always going to be us having to be really, really solid in everything that we did to get the point.
Lots of bookings in the game. Fair or unfair for you?
I think there's probably a few that weren't bookings, to be honest, but I think once the referee sets his mark, then it becomes a game where most mistimed tackles are ending up a yellow card, which I never think is ideal, because then players are on a knife edge of potentially getting sent off, and I thought that would have ruined the game. For me, it was an 11v11 game, and probably not as many bookings. But in fairness to the referee, I will say he was strong when he needed to be at certain moments, especially with the home crowd really wanting penalties.
And how much was it a case here at Newcastle of shown you're here for the long run, for a chase for a top 4 place and maybe better?
Well, I just think we want to compete. We want to compete in every game, and we don't want to be turning up to grounds like this and not giving our best and not here to compete to win, and that's what we were today. We didn't manage to achieve that, but we certainly gave them a good game.
About 5 minutes before the end, Joe Linton was right side of the Arsenal penalty area, on the right, your right-hand side. Ball broke down. He must have sprinted 120 yards to get back into defensive position. How much did he sort of encapsulate your performance?
Well, I think he does that on a consistent basis. The man is an incredible athlete, and he's very highly motivated to help the team. He's a real team player, and I'm so pleased he's getting the recognition from people like yourself who've got a really good eye to praise his work rate and to praise his ability to support his teammates. I thought he was very good tonight.
You are Moneybags Newcastle. You know you're going to be asked this question many times in the next 3 weeks. You're bringing in people?
No, Moneybags Newcastle, I'm not sure on that, but I think we'll try and make the right decision for the team. There's no one imminently coming in. We're going to assess the market as we go through it.
Yeah. And when you listen to Eddie Howe there, how impressed are you that they've got a result in a different way tonight, away from home, in a different manner to
this is a very
points.
different Newcastle from a year ago. This is a team that is hard to beat. This is a team that, they can play at the right times, but you've also got a team that can do a job another way now. They're tough, they're resilient, they're hard, and they've got some really talented players in there, not only on the ball, but without the ball. And they're difficult to beat. They can do that tonight without being good on the eye, without creating that many chances. Not many teams go to Arsenal and do that and hold them out like Newcastle did. And he deserves great credit for that. They're no longer an easy touch, Newcastle United. Anyone that goes in against them, they know they're in for a game. And if they're going to win and beat Newcastle, they have to do very, very well, because they can do the ugly side of the game tonight as well. You've seen that. How many times did Joe Linton sprint back?
Yep.
How many times did Almiron sprint back to help both fullbacks?
When San Maximin
came on. He did that. Dan Burn at left back. He's playing out of position. He's playing at left back. Botman at centre half, we said before the game. Him and Shearer. Trippier at right back. I mean, they're playing against the in-form players in the league, in Odegaard and Saka and Martinelli. Didn't really give them anything tonight.
And they've only lost once, let's not forget, all season as well. And when that 7 minutes was on, you were reminded of the Anfield game as well.
Yeah. I was thinking of that.
But that's an astonishing role of consistency, isn't it?
Yeah, because you've got to build. To be successful, you've got to build from the back. And then you can go and have your flair players and let them do what they have to do. But that base comes from defensively, being tough and resilient and hard to beat, with a good goalkeeper when you do get through. Newcastle have got all that now. So, the question was asked to Eddie about trying to bring a player or two in January. If they can do that, absolutely, they'll do it, to try and add that little bit of flair when the game is like that, when can put someone and say, OK, you need a little bit of magic in forward positions. Because they had to work so hard defensively tonight, they weren't able to get as far forward as they would have liked.
I think that when you look at how Leeds went and set up against That's like you say, Newcastle are a different proposition now. And teams are going to Newcastle now and they're saying, right, we're coming here for a draw.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what Newcastle came to Arsenal. If they could have broke, I thought they couldn't break on Arsenal as well as that because they were doing so much defending. So they settled for the draw. But like, they are a different entity now. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with the recruitment. You know, get someone like Dan Ashworth. Dan
Ashworth, yeah.
You know, when you see someone like him go there from Brighton, you can see that the way Brighton have recruited down the years, bring someone like Dan Ashworth in with it to Newcastle because they obviously want to copy that kind of business plan. But obviously they're going to have more money to do it. But you can see what Brighton are doing really works.
But also on the flip side, that's what Arsenal have to now expect.
Yeah.
Arsenal can't expect everyone to go to the Emirates and turn up and say, we're going to try and beat you at football. It's not going to work because most of the time Arsenal will beat them. So they're going to have to accept that teams are going to go there and sit and defend and be resilient and do what Newcastle did tonight.
We've been digging for you, Wrighty, on the two scandalous penalties that was referring to.
You must have been digging hard then.
We've come up with another example. We think Mikel Arteta was alluding to.
There were so many, that's what it was. Okay, so I think this is the one what he'll probably... Because remember, we are talking about a manager that's very animated on the line at the moment. So him watching this and seeing that'll probably really trigger him. You know, you're looking at the ball that's going into an area where he's going to try and attack it. He's got hold of his shirt there. He's pulled him. He's impeded him there.
If you're going to give that, you're giving 10 penalties a game. It's never a penalty. Never. If that was given against Arsenal, I can imagine what you'd be saying and doing.
Scandalous.
He's just trying to wind me up.
You know something?
That hasn't changed all day, to be fair, gentlemen.
To be honest, it's, I think on the chance, because like I said, just the first up with Joe Linton missing that chance, you think to yourself, we could have easily gone in 1-0 down. You know, is a bad miss from him, I think. But like, I think a draw in the end is a good result for both teams now. I'll take that now.